Hello there, it's Barb Pask, going to paint for you again tonight. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I got to looking through photos. I've got a lot of photos, and that's all it takes to get me all fired up and excited. A couple years ago, every year actually, I go on a trip, painting trip with one of the groups that I paint with, and a couple years ago we went to like Batesville, Indiana, I think it was. That was the area. Oldenburg is the town that these were shot in. Very charming. It's only just a couple main streets, and we had permission to go into some private places. I'll show you some of these photos. My gosh, I just love them all. I was in a private farm that was run by nuns, I think. This barn is on the property. Isn't that the coolest thing? I love that. Look at that. Same view, a little more of the building. I mean, aren't these great photos? I love this. I was really considering that. I like the simplicity of it, and the shadow is wonderful, isn't it? And of course, they had some cows on the property. Cute, huh? That's another one. Yeah, I got some good photos, didn't I? I'll tell you, even if you don't paint sometimes and you go out, just the opportunity to get reference photos is wonderful. This is in the town of a little art gallery. That's what it was, down in Oldenburg. So what I've decided on, because I almost went with the one, the very simple scene, this. And I really like this, and I probably will paint it at some point. But I'm going to try this one. I love the way the building on the left is bringing your eye in. I like the shadowed foreground and the light back there. And interesting buildings. See the chimney on the roof back there. So this is the one we're going to try. I always say try. I always joke that it turns out I meant to do that. If I didn't, it was just practice. So I don't think we're going to tone the canvas this time. I think we'll just sketch it on, go from there. Lately I've been watching Craig Nelson do demos on Friday. He's been demoing every Friday on Facebook, and he's a very good artist. I may have mentioned him before. He was an illustrator, but he does these hour-and-a-half paintings, which in my opinion are wonderful and finished paintings. And he paints with these little brushes a lot. These are little gesso brushes from Dick Blick. So I ordered some of those. Man, he makes them. I said, I'm going to order me some of those magic brushes. And when I ordered that, I ordered this. This is a tube roller, tube ringer, they call it. I have had the plastic ones, but I never had one of these nice metal ones. And you put the tube in from that direction, and you can push on it as hard as you want and roll it down. Let me show you what it does to the tubes. I think it's going to be great. I won't waste as much paint. See, this is what it does. It crimps the bottom of the tube. You know, I know people that cut them open and get every little drop out of it. There's ways. I have a friend that uses a palette knife and just rakes over the bottom of the tube and compresses it, and that works well too, but I don't know. I think I'm going to like it. All right, so welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Barbara Pask, and I paint with water mixable oils. I work with a limited palette, a warm and cool of each blue, each primary and white. So 2 blues, 2 yellows, 2 reds and a white, and I do have Indian yellow on here and transparent red oxide. But if you're new to painting, I would work that way for a long time with that limited palette. Now I could put a grid on this, 9 squares, and put a grid on my photo and go that way, but I think we'll just try to wing it. If it doesn't work out, I'll re-sketch it and just kind of look where things land. The photo of the path comes in about there. Again, if we don't get it right, we'll resketch it. Yeah, I like that there was a little bit of this building off to the left. I felt like it kind of leads your eye in. It's a cool town if you've never been there. Worth a trip. It's just about an hour from me. They were thrilled to have us there and treated us really well, our little group, and bought us dinner one night, and it was fun. We got to go to another private farm that was just unbelievable, breathtaking. And then the grass kind of curves around like that. We'll see if this feels right. Over here, looks like the path goes to about there. Like I said, I just love the shadow pattern too. We'll see how we do with that. Yeah, it's got just great shadows running across here. Dappled light. And it gets very bright back in here. And we'll decide how we want to handle these trees. There's a line of trees back in here. And a bigger tree up in here. And foliage running in from a tree out here. You know, the nice thing about a simpler scene and painting a landscape, you know, there's no wrong tree. No one really knows. You know, like a building has to be correct. I don't know. I like buildings. I'm kind of just drawn to them. When I'm out and about and the sunlight's hitting the building, oh man, that's pretty exciting. We have group critiques, and there are people that tend to paint only landscapes, trees, and I don't want to say they're easier, but they are really, because again, who knows if you got the tree shape correct. You paint what you're drawn to, you know. I generally don't get that excited unless there's a structure in it, but that's just me. Okay, I can tell this path is over too much. It's a nice shadow there. So we'll take our time, try to get this drawing right before we start. I went out yesterday with intentions of doing a little plein air, and I just didn't find anything that excited me. And you want to feel excited about what you paint, you know? We can just see part of the building there. Okay, and then back here, peeking out from behind, is a little kind of a shed with a red side that's catching some light. And then behind that is a little, like a little tiny silo kind of thing. I mostly see the roof on it, kind of a rusty roof. Okay, let's look at the amount of space from here to this building. Like I said, this building has a little chimney on it, which I think is really cute. there's another little building back there. We may or may not need that. Now, if I'm outside painting, because plein air is tricky. I don't know if you've ever done it, but everything moves constantly on you. The sun's moving constantly, the shadows are changing, so you got to grab one or the other. So that's typically what I start with. I either lay in the light where I see it, or I lay in the shadows where I see them. And then don't change it. Don't chase them, because man, you get into trouble when you do that. But we've got a photo, we're painting from a photo, so nothing's going to change for us. So I think I tend to work a lot of times when I'm working from a photo like this, I'll work top to bottom or distance, the background to the foreground. So I'm going to mix up a green. And I'll be adjusting all this again, so. And sometimes, even though, again, those distant trees are pretty yellow and pretty lit, they're back there a little bit, so you might want them to suggest some atmosphere between you and them, and you might want them to be a little more blue and a little softer even. Sorry, I'm digging for some cobalt blue here. It's your story. And I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm going to try his little brush a little bit. We may abandon it pretty quick, I don't know. He works in traditional oil, so he mixes a little solvent in his. I don't know. We'll see if we like it or not. Most generally, everything requires 2 coats anyway. We're going to want to vary the greens, and I even see a little bit of some oranges here and there. And no matter, say if this tree were to stop right here at the corner of this building, you would not want to leave it there. You don't want to create they call it a tangent, or 2 things meet at an odd point. So and the tree that's in the foreground here is darker. Even though I did say I'm working background to foreground, I'm going to go ahead and hit it while I'm doing this. And I think we'll go ahead and run it up and off of there. Not sure what I think of this brush. We'll play with it for a while till it gets on my nerves, right? There was another guy I used to watch from Australia. I mean, I like rosemary brushes, and they're very nice quality, and I recommend them. But there are some people that use really cheap brushes and do great things with them. This guy from Australia was brushes kind of like this. I think he used pastry brushes. He made them work great. I think if you're a good artist, you could just about paint with anything, We're going to block in the sky. I'm taking some cobalt blue and white, and then I'm warming it up with some yellow as it comes down. Again, we're getting it on pretty thin, so we'll probably be, I expect going over all this. But it's, you know, quickly, look how quickly I'm blocking in though, so that's not a bad thing. And again, I put a little yellow, little and there are people that, Mark Boges was one, I've mentioned him over and over, just a fabulous artist, and he used to do a lot of washes. He'd start out that way, and in some areas of his painting were really, really meticulously done. And then some of those washes that he would lay on the beginning, he would leave them in the finished painting. I think he liked the idea that, you know, some of that worked at the end, and he would leave it. So. Playing around with this brush. I like Indian yellow and ultramarine blue. If you haven't tried them together, they make a very nice transparent green. Yeah, this seems just kind of big, this brush, for some of this. We're going to lay it aside for now. But, you know, that's good for block end, don't you think? And if you were doing just a landscape, I could see where it'd be very handy. We may, you know, use it down in here. The pathway back in here is very warm and very lit. Well, let's work on some of these buildings. I'll pick up a brush that's smaller, one of my Rosemary and Company brushes, and what I'm going to do first is lay the light in on these buildings that I see. White, a little bit of yellow. Because I don't have these drawn correctly either, so we need to do that while we're at it. Back in here is a nice diagonal shape of light on this building here. This one I've got drawn a little bit better. Yeah, if I was outside, like I say, I'd be grabbing the light or shadow pattern. That'd be the first thing I would do. Okay, the side of this building is not catching light, but it's not very dark. This little building back here is much darker. Just try to paint what you see. Easy said, right? Again, I've got to define the shape of this better, and that looks too dark to me. Maybe, not tremendously. And I could have taken more time to draw on this building, and maybe I should have. Out to the side of this, don't you? I love that about farms, that they just, you know, continually seem to add structures and as they need them. And they build off the side of a barn, add a shed, and I just find them so interesting. You know, and you don't have to explain everything. That's back there a ways. And we'll be using some palette knife. That'll help me get some of these edges on these buildings and stuff. Yeah, this is a little building that has a chimney on it, which I think is pretty cool. I wondered what this was used for at one time. And then, like I say, back in here, it's a bit of a, almost like a silo. And I can see I don't have everything right, and do I care? I don't know. Now that I've zoomed in, you know, I'm seeing we've got our white barn here, we got a little gray barn here. I don't think I care. I don't, you know. I could redraw it, but if you don't tell anybody, I won't tell anybody. Yeah, off of the side back in here is another little gray shed. Ooh, and it's catching some really warm light on the side. That's really cool. Got a little door in it here. Gosh, the light on there is amazing. I don't know why, but bunch of greenery right there. We're trying to push that structure back. There's a shadow here next to it. Yeah, I didn't get everything right on it. I kind of rushed and sketched it, I guess, but that's okay, I think. Yeah, it's really too early for a palette knife, but I'm going to throw in the edge of this roof anyway. Yeah, if you're anywhere near this area, you should go check out Oldenburg. It's, like I said, it's like 3 blocks maybe, and it's some beautiful big churches, and it's a cool little place. I will go again sometime. Yeah, let me show you the light on the side of this building. It's just unbelievable how that little building's glowing, isn't it? I have no idea why it's reflecting all that light. And, you know, is it something we want? I'm not sure. We'll put it in there for now. Like I said, my opinion is that people don't have to understand everything they're looking at. I mean, if you're painting a scene and there's a little red sign back there way in the distance, I mean, obviously people aren't going to be able to read it. If they're going to see color, a shape and a color. And that's interesting. To me, interesting paintings are one that you stand and you study, and as you stand there looking at them, maybe you see more and more things that you hadn't seen before. All right, look what I'm doing here. Did you see that? Oh my gosh. You know, you get so, if you get on a laptop for some reason, I've done that, you know, because you get so used to a touch screen with an iPad. That's so funny. All right, as this comes forward, there's a shadowed area on the roof right here. Put that in first. May clean up the shape of this too. Okay, again, this is the side that's catching the most light, so sometimes, you know, you'll be out there painting, I know from doing it, and sometimes like this side may not read any, to your eye even, it may not look any lighter or any darker than this side, but you have to do it anyway so you can explain the structure of the building and the fact that, you know, this is the front and this is the side, so sometimes you have to do it anyway. I can see that I'm going to have to correct the shape of this a little bit. this side is warmer and lighter. The roof is very light, but it's a little bit cooler. You know, you're just analyzing as you go. I think people that don't paint, they see you out there painting sometimes and think, and it is fun, don't get me wrong, it is such fun. But, I mean, you're thinking, it's hard work too. I mean, you just analyze it. I mean, the decisions that you make when you do a painting. That needs to be cooler, that shadow. Kind of lifting some of that and cooling it off. Kind of a block foundation, it looks like over here, with a little window on the end. When I was growing up in this area, there were a lot of farms at that time and animals, and it's changed so much. I miss all that. I would love it if I had a farm like this near me. I think I could paint there every day. If you're familiar with Kevin Mcpherson, very, very good artist, he did a whole series where he painted the pond behind his house. He painted, I think, one painting a day for a year. And that exhibit traveled around the country. You may have seen it even. But, you know, just in all the different seasons, and I'm not sure I'd want to do that. I mean, the same scene, but I absolutely could move around this farm and be very happy to paint, you know, different parts of it for sure. We'll go ahead and I've got this wider than it is. Do I want it like that? I mean, I think it feels okay that way. This is out a little bit far too. Let me look at the whole thing again here and decide. And I don't think it matters, but I had two photos, and I had one that you saw more of the building. Okay, that's about the right place. And again, it curves around. This is like some kind of old stone. Like I said, actually, I'm not really seeing as much of that as I'm showing. So I might back it up a little bit. Alright, let's just see what we got here. I've got a real dark area here under the porch. And let's check the angle of that. It's kind of steep like that. I held my brush against the photograph like that and then brought it over so we could check the angle. And then the building comes down. Got a dark edge there. Yeah, maybe next time we'll paint that the scene that just had the path and the shed. Like I said, I really like that too. I like everything, can you tell? Sometimes you shoot a photo and God, you just know when you shoot it that you're going to paint it. It's just perfect. I do think a lot more about the photos I take than I used 2 years ago. I try to photograph a good composition now. I mean, I can crop it and get what I want, but you know, I try to set it up if I have time before I photograph it. There's one little place that's catching a little light. I don't know whether we'll want it or not, but there's a dark edge here, and underneath that there's a little section of it catching light. You know, maybe we won't want that, we'll see. No big deal to take it out if we don't. You know, a gutter running down the edge. I don't know. Let's mix up something for that brick house. It's very shadowed, so take some transparent red oxide and a little orange, a little blue. Want to keep it dark. block down here, stone, I guess it's stone. I see it as a little cooler. We'll see what we think of that. Like I said, there is a white gutter coming down. To me, the modern kind of things like that kind of take away from the old structures, but you know, maybe the stripe of the stripe is good. Maybe, you know, the not that it is a gutter, just to break it up. You know, some of that color on the edge. Let's move on. As I'm looking at this now, this is too purple for my taste, so we're gonna cool it off. This tree is gonna come over the end of that. That's why that looks like that. And there's greenery growing up here, and I'm going to look at this little shed back there and decide what, if any, detail I want on it. The dark edge under there. Of course, we have to revisit all these trees back here too, so. And as I look at that little chimney closer, again, we might mess it up. We'll clean it up if we do. It's catching light on the edge and light where they meet here, and light on this edge. And I don't like all that, I can tell you now. I just think all that's just way too busy up there. I think the suggestion of a chimney is better. Less is more. Is that the saying? You know, we'll see. I just don't care for that. Okay, let's think about, maybe we'll revisit. I mean, I could go ahead and block in the foreground and then start cleaning things up. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe we'll go back to our little brush again. Let me clean it out here. I think it works well for probably bigger areas and suggestion of foliage, that kind of thing. So, I don't know. Okay, I'm mixing up a brighter green. Yeah, I watched him use this thing. He did some really cool work with it. He was painting this little boy standing on a rock, and he painted like a cliff behind the boy, and with this brush. I mean, he just came in and added detail into the dark background and created all these wonderful rock shapes. Very cool. See, there's like a, maybe that's kind of neat, isn't it? And then, like I said, there's dappled light. Even over into here, there's some dappled light. Oh, I just spotted the coolest thing that I didn't even know was there. Let me show you. Oh, a little puddle in the middle of the path. Oh my goodness, I love it. That's how it is when you paint outside. The more you're out there, the longer you're out there, the more you see. That's what I'll say. It's like all of a sudden, it's like, I didn't see that before. Oh. Okay, we're going to put some suggestion of some light back there. I've got a piece of fence that's going right here. You probably saw that when I sketched it in. Let's mix up the darker green for the grass where it's shadowed. I guess we'll go back to that big brush. I'm just trying to give it a fair shake here. And it's grass in the shadow. It's pretty cool. You know, I normally tone these with an orange color, and that would be nice to have under here, I guess. And okay, let me see where that path comes. Okay. Back by this little shed, there's some kind of foliage, and it's pretty dark. I'm going to want to work and get in some of that more dappled light. I really like that effect. Okay, let's put the shadow in on this pathway. Let's think about what color that is. I recently watched I think I told you about it, a demo, and this guy, the way he would do a shadow area is, for him, say it was the opposite color on the color wheel is what he would mix into the color to create a shadow. So that's his thought process. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Back in here, it's catching a lot of light. It's a very, very lit area back in there. So I'm just going to lay that in with a palette knife for now. I'm getting it dirty, as you can see. Never fear, though, we can come back and clean it up. Oh, I'm sorry, kicking you around. So again, let's think about this. This is very cool, this color on the path. I mean, if, say this was my shadow and light, it's just yellow and white. So it goes right up to the edge of that. That's what I'm trying to get. And that's about as high as it goes. Let's go ahead and, of course, these are like sky holes, and with sky holes you don't make them quite as, you make them a little darker than the sky. So based on that, then these would be a little darker than that. So I put a little red in there. So now this is, you know, more toward an orange. And if that were the color of our path, then we would mix some, what, purple into it to get the shadowed color. You know, and this same light is what's running over into here. And we want to work on that some more yet. To me, this is awful saturated. I'm not sure I'm happy with that. All right, so we'll make a purple. Mixing the purple into the color that I had for the path. Probably not bad. doesn't feel right to me. What I'm going to do, because I feel that green is so saturated, is I'm going to mix some crimson in it and gray it down a little bit. Let's start looking at some things now. I think we're going to clean up that sky. Some of the sky holes I've got in the tree. And I liked that I warmed it up as I brought it down. Let's clean that shape up. Forget that puddle. I'm not ready for it, but I don't want to forget it because I love it. Okay, let's keep working the way we started here. Let's work on those trees now. Again, I do see some orange in some of those trees. I don't want to I don't want to stop on each side of the chimney like I had it there. An easy thing to do too is to, which you want to watch for, is to mirror the shape of buildings. I mean, if you're not painting exactly, and even if you are painting it and it's like that, you don't want to leave it like that, but that's a common mistake too, I think, is, again, mirror the roof line of a building. You don't want to do that. All right, and then we'll work on this tree, which is closer and much, much darker. In actuality, it's way over here. I don't know if we want it like that or... Just try to put in what I see, and if I don't like it, I'll take it out. I see yeah, I don't know that I do like it. We'll just soften it up, make it part of the tree. There's limbs running over there. Let's get that fence in right there. How long we've been going? An hour. Of course, it's a fairly detailed scene, isn't it? If I went with the other, would have been quicker and simpler, but I didn't want to. I wanted to do this one. I always say this, if the videos get too long, I mean, just don't watch them in one time. Come back and watch them over a couple sessions. All right, let's see what we got here. Trying to see how this thing runs. There's a section of, there's a post that comes in right about here. A little more brown, you can't really see it. There's 4 slats going across here, and another post right there. some of this stuff, you don't know if it really adds to the scene. I'm putting it in because it's there, but and the little sections over on this side are catching light. I might use a palette knife to do that. See what we got here. It goes to the corner of the building. And there's one vertical, so we don't want that or that. And then there's a railing on the top. Oh, okay, I'm trying to figure out what I'm seeing. I don't have to understand it completely to paint it. I just try to paint what I see. That's the thing with the palette knife, that is a little tricky. You know, when you load it, you go beyond where you mean to go. You could, you know, take the time and clean it off and get exactly what you wanted, but I don't. I think what we'll do so that stands out now that I'm looking at it. Something like that. We'll try that. See, and that's too long down there. I want to try to clean up this little tiny railing. Well, hopefully that feels like a fence. I do like the effect I got there with that big old brush. I used to take lessons from a local artist. Well, one of the teachers that I had, she used to say trees read by their edges. In other words, you could have any kind of blob shape, and if it felt like leaves on the edge, then it feels like a tree. It's probably true. I still feel like that's awful purple. see about these, this dappled light again. You know, as you study it, where the light is, you can see the grass more. I'm going to clean this out and look at this pathway now. Trying to decide how this would read better. Maybe that would read better if it felt like it was going behind there. All right, let's try to put that little puddle in. It is just beautiful. I'm looking at it wondering if phthalo glue might not be the right choice. Once in a while I put a little phthalo blue out. I like to paint green-blue ball jars. I love them. And a lot of times I use a little phthalo in them. And we'll try this. It may be too intense. It may just be reading that way because it's tucked in there all by itself. It looks pretty. It's beautiful. You know, we get it wrong like everything. We do it again. All right. Let's think where it is there. It's right about in here. I can tell you already it's too dark. Too dark, too dark. I think it's cool that it's there, but maybe it won't be a good thing. I don't know. I still don't think that's light enough. As I squint, that is very light. You know, I don't know yet whether I feel like it adds anything to it or I don't know that I'm feeling it. I'm gonna take it out. Been almost an hour and a half. Okay, I'm looking at the pathway. I'm feeling like the pathway, might want to be darker, the dark part of the path. This might be a place for my rubber knife. Soften up the edges of the path a little bit. Just checking around to see where anything looks off. That edge should be explained a little bit better. Lighter right there. It's kind of a pattern of light that runs like that. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but oh, I see. Something I need to fix there. It's always something, right? When did you ever paint an absolutely perfect painting? I don't think anyone ever did. And if we look at it and think it is, they probably did not, right? I heard like John Singer Sargent would, have a model and he'd spend hours and hours painting like their hands or hours, and then he would wipe it off because he just wasn't happy with it. All right, maybe we'll call it quits here. I'm sure there's something else that needs done I'm not doing, but one thing I kind of like that I'm not seeing is like, I think this is a tree shadow that's coming in, and there's some definite vertical shapes I kind of like. All right. There it is, right or wrong. see something else. It's the front of this little shed. You know, this is your dark side here, and I wasn't really explaining the front of it. There's a little door on that shed back there, you know. Does it add to it? Is it necessary? I don't know. It's like everything, you know, you just keep picking at it. All right, let me back you up and I'll show it to you. Show you the reference again. This is an 8x10 oil. Take down a little bit. See, I've suggested obviously the big barn and the little shed and the top of the silo and then the little building. This angle feels off to me. I think I need to, because we're looking at the side, I think I need to bring that down a little bit. It was fun. Let me show you the original image again. There it is. You know, I think it was, what's about the light? I mean, it's always about the light. So, yeah, going to make a few adjustments. I hope you enjoyed watching, and watch for me. Please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and they'll let you know when I upload a new video again. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.